I wanna backtrack even further a little bit. I know you mentioned
Mhm.
that meeting your husband was the easiest thing in your life, but you mentioned that you had a lot of struggles growing up, and
Yeah.
especially in the quote unquote. Um, this is something we talk about a lot on the show, which is honestly one of the big reasons we have a show to begin with. Is this unnatural way of scaring especially women into thinking that if you don't do exactly as I say, if you don't go to a seminary, you don't do this, you don't do that, you're never getting married.
Yeah.
Which obviously we're
Mhm.
extremely against, and it's something we talk about a lot. That has happened to you
Yeah.
apparently once or twice before. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about it.
I think I was the stereotypical, like, you are not getting married ever.
Like
Like,
people have actually said that to your face,
yeah,
like
people
legitimately.
actually said it to my face, 100%. Um,
Wow.
it's funny because I remember exactly where I was, what we were doing, and I was like, oh, okay. And like they said it about they said about weight, and I'm not 500, 600 pounds. I'm a little curvy, but like I'm not like 500, 600 pounds. And I think that like, and the person that they said it about, of like, you're not going to get married, that person's an older single because she's heavy, was someone that I really admired and really respected. Baruch Hashem, she ended up getting married to an amazing man.
I'm like so upset with that comment. Like,
and she
whatever.
was and she was one of the best girls ever. Like, she was literally like, to this day I'm in awe of this person. I'm not gonna say more, but to this day I'm in awe of that person. And I think that, like, for me, I was very stereotypical. Like, I checked every box basically, right? So like, I was born with congenital hypothyroidism. Congenital hypothyroidism. A lot of people have thyroid issues. I think it's 1 in 4,000 babies that are born with congenital hypothyroidism. And that means that, like, from birth, like, I could have had special needs if I wasn't on my medication. So, it's something that's like, that already, right? Like I always say, it's kind of like like any vaccine, right? So like, you give them a vaccine. I kind of related most to the coronavirus vaccine, because, not to get political and not to get whatever, but like, a lot of people said about the coronavirus vaccine that, like, you could still get corona. You won't have it as bad, but you might still get it. And I think that was very much what, like, I was on medication since birth for hypothyroidism, and thank God I do not have special needs, but I have speech issues. I am a little bit hard of hearing. I got diabetes when I was 12.
Wow.
I had very bad eyesight. Like, I have like auditory processing issues, a lot of behavioral issues. Like, I was like the kid that went to the principal's office. I was the kid that went to the principal's office like twice a day, every single day, when I was in like fifth and sixth grade. Like, that was me in like a nutshell. Somebody told me to kick a hole in the wall of my teacher's classroom. I did it. Somebody told me to call 911. I did it. Like, I'm
Oh
just like,
wow.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like impulsivity kind of like came along with
yeah,
it.
and just like getting attention and just like everything. And then, like, after my dad passed away, right? Like, my dad also passed away very, very, very suddenly. And yesterday was his 24th English yard site. So he's been gone
Oh
for 24
wow.
years. But he passed away very suddenly. And, like, that also, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't want to I don't want to deal with that because her dad died at 37, and like every single reason, right? Like, I'm a little bit heavier. When I was in high school, I dealt with suicide, like very intense suicidal thoughts, diagnosed with OCD. And I think that, like, and then it didn't even stop there, right? I didn't go to seminary. I I got kicked out of every camp that I ever went to, basically. I did not get kicked out of Mechlala because my sister saved me, and she was a madrika. But I won Mechlala, almost got kicked out. Seg was too short to get kicked out of, but I got kicked out of Hask my first year in Hask.
Oh wow.
I got kicked out of. I went to Masora for like 2 weeks and got kicked out of Masora Yachad, like as an advisor. Like as a
Mm.
counselor, got kicked out of Masora Yachad. Like every single place that could kick me out was like, yeah, you're gonna leave now. And I think my mom, honestly, a lot of the time was like, oh my gosh, my daughter is doomed for failure. You know, like I remember coming home from when I was kicked out of Masora Yachad and kind of just going to my mom and I'm like, Mom, I don't have special needs, but I feel like I'm the closest to having special needs without actually having special needs. Like that was like, you know, because I was just like a messed up child, you know, like I had so many things
Mm.
that was like against me. And also it wasn't like, you know, I was friends with a lot of guys and not good guys, you know, like I remember like I was not like not bad guys, but you know, like drugs and you know, smoking and alcohol and whatever. And like my husband is like the pinnacle like good boy. Do you know what I'm saying?
He
Like
seems like the most Yashar guy,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Torshraga,
Yeah, yeah.
very like sweet, kind.
Yeah, he never did it. Like I asked him one time, I said, "What is one like? Have you ever like gotten in trouble in your life?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, one time I was at a restaurant and my friend wanted to like go to like the shul like down the street, so I walked with him to the shul and we didn't tell anybody." I'm like, "Oh, okay." When I was 5 years old, I ran away with a boy in from the park. It
Oh
was
my
7/10 of a
goodness.
mile, and I ran to his house, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the epitome of like every mother's worst nightmare. You know, like besides the fact that I didn't do drugs,
Wow.
like even I became Haredi. I'll tell you guys, I became like more like wannabe Haredi in high school. And my uncles, who are not so religious, like complained to my mom a lot and they were like, she's going crazy. And my mom's like, dude, either should be pregnant or Haredi. Pick which one you want. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, like that was basically like where I was in life. I am. It happens to be that I'm like anti-alcohol. I do like nowadays. I'm like a little bit like less, but like my chuppah was dry. I have no alcohol tolerance, and like, but like other than that, like if there was a rule to break, I broke it. You
Oh
Nice.
know?
wow.
Yeah,
So
Nice.
what
yeah.
is your mom must be like
My mom's so
really
confused
just
now.
like
She's like,
happy. Your family must be just so happy. Like look how far you've come and you've overcome so many obstacles like growing up. Like
yeah,
the like every I like you said, everything was just like going against you. All of the odds were against you. And you met someone really incredible and someone who is like your other half.
yeah.
And
Thank God.
like it's honestly like a breath of fresh air because like I said, probably a lot of our listeners or like a lot of people who are trying to like look into like you said in your last reel, like you want to change society, you want to change, you know, how people are looking at shidduchim and dating.
Well, the issue
And
was that, like, I'm
yeah,
telling you, Sarah, I was the epitome of a person that, according to Orthodox standards, should have never gotten married. That
right.
is what. That's literally how I was like living my life. Like, you know, like I'll tell you, like I wasn't even like a good student. I never paid attention to school. People talk about friends, okay, like their friends, not like the TV show. People talk about like their friends that they grew up with.
Mhm.
I've had only one friend in my entire life. Meaning, like I have other friends, but I don't have like you know I wasn't with the same friends my whole life. I had a lot of friendships go really like when I was depressed. I ruined a lot of friendships, and like
Yeah.
I think that like people literally like I think my mom to this day is shocked that I'm married. Like that's what I'm saying. There's no rhyme or reason that I'm
Right.
married. I look at my best friend and I'm like, you are so much more normal than me. How did I get married and you're not? Like, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense.
Right.
And like, I think that people want to like give these reasons and people want to talk about it and people want to like, say things. But in the end of the day, like, no, there's no rhyme or reason that I'm married except for the fact that Hashem decided, okay, I've been hard enough on Tamar. Let me just give this, let me just shoot this one in, like that's it, and like I think
Right.
even my mom talks to me about it to this day. Like I told my mom very early on that we were going to get married, like very early on. And I think my mom for sure thought I was like just impulsive, that I was just like that I was like not sure what I was getting myself into. But like, and I still think like when I go to my husband's family or shul or like whatever, or like community, I'm like, he's such a good, like he's such a good guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm so sorry that I'm your wife, like,
Stop,
you know,
Tamar.
I'm like, you know that like you were gonna marry someone so crazy, because it's not like, I think that a lot of people thought he would probably marry someone more like, and